Why should Covaxin, India's indigenous COVID-19 vaccine, cost almost double per dose of Covishield? That's the question the makers of Covaxin, Bharat Biotech, have attempted to answer today through a long communication. And the long and short answer of it essentially is that it's a better product. The platform is such that it costs us more, and there are many other factors, including distribution, scale, etc., because of which we need to charge more. In fact, one of the key factors they cite is differential pricing, that they have had to sell to the central government so far at only 150 rupees a dose, which is unsustainable. Hence, they had to charge more from the private sector. But let me break down the key reasons for you. So number one is the platform. Covaxin is based on an inactivated virus platform, which requires the use of the actual live virus of SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. Now, Bharat Biotech explains that this methodology just costs more because it gives a low yield for the same amount of raw material, and hence you have a higher price for Covaxin compared to other vaccinations which use different technologies and different platforms. This is also why they say they need just more manufacturing space to create the same amount of batches of vaccine. So they give an example that to make 200 million doses, they need 10,000 square meters. For a similar inactivated virus vaccine, they would need about 1,500 square meters. But because COVID-19 virus is just so contagious, they need to make sure they have enough space and safety protocol while creating this vaccine. They also cite their high standards. So they say that every batch goes through 200 quality control tests, which needs that kind of personnel who is equipped to do those tests, and it costs just much more. But the key reason, I think, is the differential pricing, and they make this point in their press release where they say that the 150 rupees at which they've been selling to central government is unsustainable in the long term. It is also one of the reasons that they have had to charge 1,200 rupees, much higher from the private sector to offset that low price. It also points out to perhaps a higher price going forward when the central government orders more batches of Covaxin from Bharat Biotech, because now they don't even have a different price for state governments. The central government will be procuring everything. So far, Covaxin was only 10% of Covaxin supply was being sold to the private sector. It will now increase to 25%, and that is also one of the reasons why they claim so far their average return from each dose of Covaxin between private and government was only 250 rupees per dose, hence the higher prices for the private sector. They also justify this, saying that the private sector is not obligated to buy Covaxin. It's not mandatory, and that same vaccine, even though it's a life-saving vaccine right now, is available for free through the central government. So why should they not be able to charge more from the private sector? They also cite royalties. Remember, they have made Covaxin along with ICMR that has provided them the live virus. They've given them some test kits, they've given them equipment, etc. for animal trials. So they say they have to pay royalties now on everything produced to ICMR, NIV and Virovax for their contributions to Covaxin. They need to price that in as well. And then they sign off saying that we should be allowed to make enough money from the private sector or make enough money on our product, because how will we then fuel innovation going ahead? If we are not allowed to make enough money and put that back into research and development, we will just end up like a factory line for innovations from across the world. So those are the reasons that the company has cited, and they're sticking to their stance of charging more than 1,400 rupees retail for one dose of Covaxin.